We've been talking about EDC, everyday carry, items that I carry with me every single day for everyday situations or times of crisis. We just finished talking about the importance of having power in your life, the ability to fight, how you should not, in times of battle, in times of crisis, be bombarded or bullied by your problems, by your report, and lay down your arms. But we need to make sure that we're taking God's spiritual arms and we're fighting the things that's fighting us. Ephesians chapter 6, it says, we battle not against flesh and blood, but against rulers, principalities, evil forces in the heavenly realms. But one thing is super important when we carry a firearm. Again, this is a Glock 17. It's chambered in 9mm. It has a magazine that holds 17 rounds and one in the chamber. Okay, but the thing about fighting is that fighting takes time sometimes. Fighting may not be a couple of pulls of the trigger, spiritually speaking, and it's done. Sometimes there's a fight for your life. Woman, the issue of blood had a problem for 12 long years. The Bible says she spent her care under care of many doctors, yet in sitting better she grew worse. This is found in Mark chapter 5, verses 24 through 34. Can you imagine how often she wanted to lay her arms down and give up her fight? But there's one verse, I believe it's in verse 27 or verse 28, that says, and she heard about Jesus. What did she hear? Did she hear about a man turn water into wine? Did you hear about a man that spit in the dirt, put on a blind man's eye and he saw? Did you heard about a man that can raise people from the dead? I believe this woman heard results. And I believe she said that God, if you can do it for them, then you can do it for me. I believe the testimony that she heard refreshed and reloaded her faith. It's because this woman was unclean. Because she was unclean, there was things she was not allowed to do. She was not allowed to sit in public places because that place would be considered unclean. She could not receive a hug from loved ones or friends because then they will be considered unclean. This woman's life, this woman's problem, not only affected her physical body, but her emotional, social, and economic life as well. Remember, she spent everything she had. So in her time of crisis, in the fight for her life, she heard about a man she never met, but again, simply only heard of. But it refreshed and refueled her desire to find Jesus. She was desperate. And so in your time of fight, when you feel like you ran empty, the fight has already happened, you need to be able to be refreshed. You need to be able to reload your life. The Bible talks about in the book of Ephesians chapter 6, again, it says, when you've done everything else to stand firm then. And I believe it stresses how difficult the fight is. Ephesians puts so much more emphasis in standing than fighting. Dig your heels in the ground. In times of battle, in times of war, when we watch those movies, how many times did the general say, hold your ground, stand firm? When the enemy approaches you in times of battle, when you know that your life was on the line, remember what you're fighting for. Remember who you're fighting for. Pick up your arms and fight. You know, the Bible talks about God being the Lord as our banner. Jehovah Nissi. Nis means an insignia. And so when the times of battle, they would wave their banner. There will be people on horses and running their banner. And what would happen would be in the times of battle when they feel like they will quit and they give up, when they feel like they ran dry and they're empty, when they don't know what to do and they want to give up, when they want to flee, the soldier will say, hold your ground, but they will look at that insignia, that banner. The Lord is my banner, that will be waved before them. They will look at it and they'll be encouraged, refreshed, and reminded that, hold on, I can still get in the fight. The reason why I carry an extra magazine is when if the fight has been too long and I ran dry, I have the ability to reload. Obviously, the magazine's empty, but in my everyday life, you best believe my magazines are fully loaded, and there's one in the chamber because I want to be prepared to protect my family. But it's so important for us to have an extra magazine so we can reload in times of crisis, that we can reload in times of difficulty. When you want to give up, when you want to drop in the towel, when the fight has been too long, you know what I'm talking about. You've been combating. You've been dealing with this. You've been fighting for this for so many years. And many of you, you said, enough is enough. I give up. So you gave up. You gave into that addiction. You gave into that problem. You gave into that lie. Because why? You have not refreshed yourself. This is what you will say. You will say, I tried before. I tried fighting. What are you saying? You're saying that your fight was over. You tried fighting before. Your fight was over. Why is that? Because you did not have, you're no longer visiting the place of refreshing. You're no longer finding the still quiet waters where God can restore your soul. You're no longer contending to fight because you don't have a place where you can reload your prayer life, your devotional life. Seeking God's faith, church, community, and family is important because it helps you to reload and get back in the fight. Don't throw in the towel anymore. Your strength, your reload, your refreshing is found in Jesus. One of the greatest ways you can reload, one of the greatest ways you can get back in the fight is worship. Oh, worship is so important. Mark chapter 5, verses 24 through 34. The woman with the issue of blood once again. The Bible says when she heard about Jesus, she said to herself, the Bible says, because she thought, I believe the King James Version, because she said, if I just touch his clothes, I will be healed. Now, many scholars believe that this woman said this to herself over and over and over again on the way to meet Jesus. She thought, she said. Sometimes you got to speak to yourself. I'm talking about reloading. I'm talking about when the fights got too hard, when you ran empty, when you ran dry, to reload. When the fight's too difficult, to tactically reload. The woman said to herself over and over and over again on the way to meet Jesus, if I just touch his clothes, if I just touch his clothes, she was speaking to herself. Why is this important? Because the Bible said there's life and death in the power of our tongue. All right, God's tongue, when he speaks, before the creation, he said, let there be light, and light literally came out of his mouth. Substance literally came out of his mouth. God's tongue creates substance. But why, when we say, let there be an apple doesn't appear. Let there be a cherry doesn't appear. Let there be money, wouldn't that be easy? Money would appear. It doesn't work that way. Our tongue doesn't create substance. Our tongue prepares us for substance. That's why the Bible says in the book of Hebrews that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So I believe this woman said to herself over and over again on the way to meet Jesus, because she was filling her faith, refueling, tactically reloading her faith to get into the fight to find Jesus. I carry an extra magazine with me because when the fight got too hard, or if the fight's been too long, I don't want to give up. I want to reload so I can get back in the fight. And I encourage you to spiritually do the same. Get back in the fight because you're worth fighting for.